Two other top intelligence officials, including the head of the NSA, were also pushed by the president to downplay the Russia investigation, and they'll testify on Wednesday. Elaine, senators are trying to determine whether all of this was just presidential banter or if it amounts to obstruction of justice.
Well, Nancy, you mentioned Comey's memos. Is the expectation from the Senate Intelligence Committee that Comey will provide more than atmospherics? What are the missing pieces the committee is focused on going after?
Well, they want to know specifically from him, how many times did he talk to the president about the FBI's investigation, not just into Michael Flynn, but other Trump associates and their connections to Russia. They also want to know about this letter that the president sent to Comey when he was fired. You'll recall that the president said, I'm very grateful that you told me on 3 separate occasions that I myself am not under investigation. So senators want to know, not surprisingly, did these 3 conversations take place? What was the content of those conversations? Did the president ask Comey point blank, am I under investigation? What did Comey say? Does Comey have a different recollection of those conversations than the president did? Why were they talking about this in the first place? Those kinds of things. As you heard Senator Burr say, he does not expect that they are actually going to get their hands on Comey's memos themselves this week. They're most likely not in Comey's possession. They belong to the FBI. These are official notes that he took to keep records of conversations that he had with the president when he was the FBI director. The FBI has had that request from the committee to turn over those memos for several weeks now. It hasn't happened. The chair of the committee says he expects at some point they will be able to get a look at them, but they haven't been turned over yet.
Well, Nancy, given that the president will not block Comey's testimony, how are conservatives on the Hill speaking about the ways in which the hearing will impact both the president's and Comey's credibility?
Well, this has been a highly anticipated hearing for several weeks, as you can imagine, Elaine. In fact, it's hard to recall another instance of a hearing that has generated so much anticipation, and that's because Democrats and Republicans alike really want to know what transpired between these 2 men. Republicans on Capitol Hill have a lot of respect for James Comey. They thought he was a good FBI director, and so his word carries a lot of weight for them to this day. According to Senator Burr, just a short time ago, he said he spoke to Comey over the weekend, said he's actually had several conversations with Comey, and that as far as he knows, there are no constraints on Comey about what he can and can't say. Obviously, he can't divulge classified information about the investigation itself, but in terms of his own interactions with the president, there is no one, according to Senator Burr, such as the new special counsel, Robert Mueller, or anyone within the Department of Justice, who has tried to put limits on Comey about what he can and can't tell these senators. And not only is he going to talk in an open public session, but then after that, he's going to essentially do a round 2, a second hearing behind closed doors in a classified setting where he can get into some of those details about the investigation that he couldn't share when he's in the public eye.
Well, Nancy, before you go, Tuesday night the president is hosting members of Congress for dinner at the White House. Who is the president specifically meeting with, and what issues is he anchoring his latest outreach to congressional Republicans on?
Well, they're going to discuss, as far as we know, a variety of topics, Elaine, and this is something that the president has actually done much more frequently than President Obama did, meeting with various members, generally of his own party, sometimes with Democrats, but meeting once again with Republicans to talk about a host of issues. Obviously, the Paris Agreement is likely to come up. That's something that is still generating some controversy here on Capitol Hill. In fact, Senator Corker, who's a Republican who chairs the Foreign Relations Committee and also went golfing with the president over the weekend, he says that he still thinks that it's possible that the president could change his mind at some point, could perhaps come back to the table to try to renegotiate this Paris Agreement. It was clear from his comments that he has a little bit of discomfort with what took place and didn't think that the United States should have pulled out altogether from the agreement. Certainly not all Republicans feel that way, but some feel quite strongly that this did not leave a great impression internationally. So that's likely to come up. Healthcare is likely to come up. As you know, Republicans in the Senate have been trying to work on their own version of a health care bill that they can put on the Senate floor as quickly as possible. And then infrastructure and tax reform, two other big issues that are of importance to both the president and to Republicans in Congress, can be expected to come up as well.
All right, Nancy Cordes for us. Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.